Well, thank you guys for
Woohoo.
joining us on our weekly Crown of the Gods stream. Um, we've been busy preparing for our first open round, which will start the 23rd of this month, so 13 days away. We do have a open testing server for anybody who hasn't seen it. Uh, we're just kind of running the servers at the normal speed for probably 10 days or so. We'll probably be dropping in new features for people to test as we kind of complete them. Um, but more or less just to make sure that everything is, at the right speed, at the right time, throughout the entire game before we actually open it up to a live server. This is probably the last time we actually have to do these checks, um, since we've changed the speeds in between every beta we've done from 10 times to 4 times to 2 times, and now we're at normal speed. So it's important to get everybody in there and make sure that everything is running at that normal speed. And also because we changed the time zone for the open um, beta, we had to make sure that everything worked right with that time zone too. We did end up going with the Mid-Atlantic time zone, which is about 3 hours behind GMT, which is, I think, currently 2 hours ahead of Eastern time. Um,
Yep.
it's kind of like right in the middle of all the different times, and somebody came up with a good point that it's easier for people to stay up late than it is for them to wake up early. So, I think it's a good time for us to have with the night protection, which should be in for the open. It's actually currently in now. It was pretty much always in. I just kind of commented it out. So it should make things a lot easier on people not having to be up 24 hours a day, as well as kind of a time zone that isn't great for anybody, which makes it the fairest time zone you can think of. The only people whose time zones I'd imagine are really conflictive are Australians, and they're kind of used to things like that, anyways. I believe. Um,
Yes.
so the testing's going good. We put in a new database system, which seems to be running like a absolute champ. Um, I'm very happy with the new database framework that we put in. It's a lot faster, and it's also handling the loads on as well. We also put in a login queue, so whenever you know one of the big issues that we struggle with is when you open up the server for the first time, you've got thousands of people all trying to get in at the exact same second, and it's the the actual creation of the account is what takes up a lot of resources of the database in particular. Um, so what we have been mulling over is how to get that many people into the game as quickly as possible without maxing out the database. Because if you max out the database, then everybody gets kind of frozen up, and it actually takes longer than if you kind of parse it out over time. So I built a queue that kind of pulls the database and checks the status of some of the key bottlenecks of it. Um, and then it'll manually process, 5 to 10 people a second, um, as those parameters stay below where they're set. That way, it gets everybody in. It gets everybody in faster because the database never overloads, and you don't have any of the issues that we had before, um, where people would get doubles of cities and stuff like that because they had logged in once and then restarted and logged in again and restarted because the database had frozen up. So, um, having a queue system for opening it up um, should make server openings a lot faster and better than just a big rush in. Try to process 2,000 requests at the same time. Um, did Glassel just ask for a virtual reality um, thing for the game? Um,
You did.
it's a 2D game.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I'll get working on that right away. Um, if you could send me a pair of Oculus Rift glasses first, so I can program around them, would be great. Uh, so yeah, we got the queue system in, which should make a big difference in the login and make everything kind of run smoother. Um, it is based on time, so whoever kind of clicks the button and gets in the queue first will get processed through first. Um, the overall time shouldn't be too large either. As long as the database is below that kind of amount, it will never actually go to queue. Everybody who's been logging in has actually already gone through it um, already. It's just you never see it unless there's a need for it. Um, so it still needs some testing, but we'll see how it goes for the open round. Um, if anything, it's very easy to turn off. So if it becomes an issue, we can just turn it off real fast, and people can jump right in the game like normal. Um, so a lot of stuff we've been doing has been, performance and network and bandwidth amounts coming in and out. It seems like most of the changes that were made didn't affect gameplay. Everything seems to be working well. Um, we have been working on some new features to get in. One thing that I'm sure everybody's noticed is that these were always kind of draggable, um, but they never actually did anything. Well, now they actually do something. So you can drag them and change the order, and then, as you can see, it instantly picks up the new one. So you can now sort your build queue just by dragging and dropping things around.
That is a big deal.
I'm not going to make guarantees on how fast you can sit here and sort around, but it does work. If you kind of try to go too fast, sometimes it might revert back. The only thing you can't do is you can't replace the first one. So if you want to put something in first, you're going to have to put something behind it and then cancel, and then it will get the new one. It also won't let you put something last either. So if you want something to be last, you just kind of have to drag it down to the second place. Because it's drag and drop, it makes it very simple to move them around anyways. So it should make things easier for people who want to sort their queues manually.
That's really important in early game when you're still trying to come up with the resources to do everything you need to do.
I did build it in as well to prevent, like dragging the 5 in front of the 4. So if you try to do that, it'll just keep reverting back. Or if you try to drag it up here, it'll just keep pushing it back if there's that other. So if you want to move both of them up, you have to move one and then the other. I was thinking about grouping them, but then people might want to put the level 4 there and the level 5 down here, and then move another 4 in front of it. So
yeah. Ed asks, what's the deal with the script market? Are you planning on adding it for the open beta?
We plan on putting it in during the open beta. It is a good chunk of things to do since you're creating essentially a market. So we've got a lot of things to put in. We've got policies to make as far as submissions and processes and how we're going to review and how we're going to implement. So it is something we're planning on doing during the open beta, but it's not going to be done before. But we do plan on getting that done within a month or two, I'd say.
So if somebody has a script that they want to add for now, the best thing to do is to contact us with it.
I mean, if somebody wants to just add a script into the game and not use the script market, send it to us. People send us, chunks of code all the time that we just implement. If they want to just keep refining it, we can, and letting people kind of use the user scripts in the traditional way. We could even set up in the meantime kind of like a whitelisted site where people can send us their scripts, and we can have like a little page with a list of the scripts and stuff that we've reviewed and looked over and made sure it's safe for people to use before we get the script market up. So that's actually something we could do relatively quickly. It's just putting together the whole market that would take a little bit of time, especially if you wanted to do be secure and work right. And you have to think about payouts for the for the developers and how they want to get paid. You know, it will probably let people buy them in denarii, and then allow the developers to either convert the denarii into some sort of cash, or to keep the denarii and use it in the game.
Yes, it's a lot to do.
Yeah, so it's it's just like putting together the iTunes app market. It takes a lot of
Easy breezy.
stuff to do.
It's Gordy. He's magic. He can do it.
But yes, it is in the plans and something that I think about often. Another thing that we'll be adding in the next day or so, along with that drag and drop sort, is the trade counselor options. We're now going to put in not only city groups where you can select a city group to limit your send and receives from, but also we put in a request and a send amount. So let's just say, for example, you want you've got a rating city and you want the resources to always stay above 50,000. That's 500. And then you want your food to always stay above 300,000. But then if your food gets over 100,000, or if your resources get over 100,000, or your food gets over 500,000, then you want it to ship. So what this does is it kind of sets a limit for the request. So if your city will never drop below the top amounts, and if they go above the bottom amounts, then it will send off to whatever city you select. We're also planning on putting in, although it's not in the display yet, a kind of a template. So once you set this and you set the cities and everything that you want to do for this city, you can save it as a template, so that way the next city you go into, you could go into the template, select the template, and it will auto populate everything in the menu based on what you preset it to.
Oh, Glycel asks if the hotkeys could be put in the mouse over tooltip for the buildings, in the building menu.
I've actually been meaning to do that. Yeah, will do.
Yeah, and I think we're actually, Lisa was going to make us a like maybe something that goes down next to report a bug. That's a little side pop-up that shows you all of the key commands, because there's a lot of key commands that aren't actually on the buildings that people won't be able to see. So having a list somewhere of all the key commands will keep people from not knowing that they're there.
Can do.
Recently I just found out that somebody didn't know we had a the move key was working,
Yeah.
which is the key next to 1. So if you press it, it'll just you don't actually have to click move the building, it'll just move it for you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't know we had that. So it's the key to the left of 1.
Yeah, and so if we add more key commands down the road, it'd be nice to have a little menu that people can look to. There is a shortcut key. You can either upgrade your buildings with U, or you can upgrade them all the way. Let me see. Let me cancel all my builds. No. Okay, so regular. If you just want to upgrade to 4 on this level 3, it will add it to 4. If you press Shift and U, then it will automatically take it to
Level 10.
level 10.
And just U on its own does 1 level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's that?
Sweet.
And then if you
yeah.
want to, if you have a building selected and you press like the 6 button, it will take your building up to 6. Although it looks like it just duplicated.
Maybe that's where that bug is coming from, where people are
That is
getting.
where that's coming from.
Aha!
It's double putting the 6.
And sometimes it's a lower level, and if they cancel the lower level, it'll cancel the whole queue.
Oh, when I pressed 5, it kind of normalized out. Oh, I see what's happening here. It's not actually a 6. Oh, yeah. No, see, it worked fine that time. So it's just intermittently that it does. See, it worked both those times, too.
Which would explain why we can't replicate. I've been trying and trying to get that one to replicate and can't.
Region View Zoom is a little bit different than City View. City View was easy for me to put in, basically because so to do a zoom, you have to have more content in the window than is actually in the window. So like right now, it doesn't look like there's anything off the screen, but this city actually extends off the screen, which is easy to do because city is a fixed size. So when you zoom out, it just kind of changes the size of the entire thing at the same time. If you do that on regional view, what ends up happening is that you'd have to the area you'd have to actually render when people are moving around in the regional view is about 4 times this normal size for the zoom, which is puts pressure on the processor of people's computers to render 4 times as much as they normally would. So that's kind of the hang up with having regional view zoom, is it's not a fixed size. Well, it is a fixed size, just the fixed size is very large. So in order to do it properly, I'm going to have to figure out a way to do it so it's not rendering a 4 times size of the regional map, and instead it's just kind of zooming in on the graphics and icons. So that's the reason that I've done it for city and not for regional, is I just don't want to make the rendering area of the regional bigger, because it will cause issues, especially when continents are full.
Are we going to be doing select gender at all soon?
I guess we could put in a little radio box for it, but what we had been waiting on was artwork. We're kind of in the process of vetting artists at the moment, so it is in the works. I guess we could put in something.
And the reason we went for square was honestly just because it's how I ended up doing it. I didn't think about the rectangles. We probably could have done rectangles, but the art came in. We had it all made in 64 by 64. So I kind of like squares better. Rectangles kind of piss off my math side because they're not even. Most screens are, I guess, more rectangular than square, but because we have the left side menu, it makes the actual screen square. I guess depending on the size of your screen. But it doesn't make that big of a difference now with zoom to have them square, not rectangle.
Showing if next city will be on water or land. What do you mean by that? Like when you're settling it?
Yeah, we changed the pictures. So this one says water, this one still says water, whereas this one says land. Yeah, so it makes it easier. Also, this distribution is the exact number of resources that should be in your city.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes it easier to determine if you want that city or not, or if you want to settle there. Um, it's not kind of guessing with a distribution or anything like that. It's just the actual number of resource nodes in that city.
Which is very cool.
I did not lower the number of dungeons yet. That will be done. Um, so right now there are way too many dungeons for the amount of players. So dungeons will be a bit sparser. Um, looks like I still need to fiddle with some of the bosses and dungeons coming on to land. So that's another thing I need to look at.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not at all a distribution, it's just actually the number, and each one should have a base of a certain base, which I can't remember at the moment. The one thing I did different was there is no set number that is in the center, so it's all a matter of kind of luck of how many, if you want a military city, how many are in the center or how many aren't. I am happy with how the resources kind of spread out, though. They seem to spread out very well. So they cluster, but they don't cluster too hard, and they don't cluster next to each other. So it leaves a lot of space for building buildings around them.
So the emails that we're going to be sending out will alert the entire player base, everybody that's registered, about the open beta on the 23rd. And we didn't announce this little server that we have open right now. So yes, the population is going to be much higher.
Yeah, and you should have seen the end of the third beta, Bane. It was every spot on the map was full. I think we had 113,000 cities. You literally could not find a place to settle in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks of the third beta, if not longer.
Yeah,
I felt bad. There was a couple
crazy.
of people who emailed the info ad email address asking if they could get in, and I kind of had to be like, I wish you could, but there's no room.
I had some message me on Facebook too.
Yep,
It was an awesome test for us, though, for load, because it's
it sure was.
we got to see what the most extreme case of load would be, and how we could handle it, and so now it should be easy to handle a third of the map being full, and that would kind of be the end of a full server.
Oh, and those
speeds.
glorious attacks.
Yeah, we had 50,000 attacks at one point. 50,000
That was
attacks
insane.
landing at the same second, or within the same 3 seconds. Because we kind of opened up the servers for, we opened up the portals indefinitely, and then we gave everybody
Gave
instant
everyone
troops,
instant troops.
and just told them all to, break the attack script. And they did.
Indy says yes on me. Yes, most of the attacks were on Indy.
Yes, Indy did have a large amount of attacks on her. But it was a good way to test the attack script, which, it's funny, the attack script handled it well, and the rest of the servers didn't. So it gave us the last spot where things were bad, which was the actual data flow between, players and everybody opening up their incoming and outgoing and trying to view 50,000 attacks and things like that.
Yeah.
Continents open based on the number of cities on the continent, and then there's a time cap. So if it goes past a certain amount of time, the continent just opens no matter how many people are on the previous continent. So it's the previous continent. So let's say the next continent opens is 23. Until 23 reaches a certain number of cities, 32 won't open unless it hits that time cap, and then 32 will open. So it goes on the previous city, the amount of cities on there, and then it goes by time. So really the only, on the first one we had it set to 500 cities on 22, and the first 4 continents opened in the first 3 minutes because so many came in. So we kind of upped the limit on the number of cities on the continent before a new one opens, but for the live round, I would not be surprised if 32 opened within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or not 32, 23. I would see 23 opening in the first 10 minutes easily. Um, just because it's, the amount of people that we expect to come in and play is going to be, higher than we had in the third beta, which was, what, 1,000 people?
Yep. Yeah, I think like 1,050 or something by the end.
Yeah. So they should open, at least 3 should be open pretty quickly.
I think so. Yeah, that'll be cool to see.
So I guess if people are planning to wait for continents to open, they'd have to wait. Um, just depending on how many people showed up, because there's always a tipping point too. So, if your alliance plans on mass joining at a certain time after, and it was 50 people short of the cap to move to a new continent, you guys could end up half and half just as easily as end up on the same continent.
Mm-hmm.
So, hope that answers the question. We do have a few more overviews to add in before the live rounds. I'd like to add in one for reinforcements, kind of like what we have for raids, where you can go through and see where all of your reinforcements are, and
Yeah.
recall, or even like a button on the top that just lets you recall every reinforcement you have out there. Although that kind of scares me to put in, because somebody might be under attack and accidentally click the button and all their resource gets sent home, and they could say I didn't mean to do that. So it might have to be by city.
Yeah.
And I am very happy with the just having this testing server up. New people are finding the game and being able to come right into a server, so it's a lot better than it was when we were just kind of closed off. Um, you know, because people can come in, poke around, see the game, talk to people. Um, so I suspect that the member base will grow a lot as we have more people registering and having live servers open all the time.
Yeah, Savvy, when we announce it, we will definitely have the exact time,
Yeah, when we send
It's
out the
not
mail,
just the day.
noon Eastern time, isn't it?
Mhm.
usually we do it noon Eastern time. I don't know if we should do it noon Eastern time or if we should go with the server time, since
Well, we have it on the website already as noon Eastern time, so I guess it would make more sense to not change it and confuse people.
at noon Eastern
Yeah.
time's a good time to start, just because it's kind of like right smack dab in the middle of everybody.
Yeah.
We chose the exact date of the open beta to be on your birthday, Glassel. That was the deciding factor.
Oh no, and he has to work.
That's also why we made it on Saturday, is because most people don't have to work. So,
Damn.
so it's kind of a hard thing to do, because some people like when it's at work, because they don't have to deal with their families while they're trying to start a new server. They can play from work. And other people like it because they're not at work. So I guess it all depends on if you can play the game at work or not.
Yeah.
Which makes me think of that brilliant idea of Crown of the Gods job insurance.
And you said something about divorce insurance too.
Yeah, divorce and job insurance. Get everybody to pay in, and you get a payout if it happens, and you can prove it was Crown of the Gods. And also, if you've been a member for more than 2.5 years, and if you've sent emails every 3 days and the third Tuesday of every month, saying that you want to keep your policy going even though you're still paying.
Oh my god.
But don't mind the fine print. It's a good idea.
It's always the fine print that gets you.
But yeah, and our testers are so great. They keep finding stuff to fix and to redo, and you know, it's really helps us get everything kind of perfect going into live. So it's really appreciated, and I hope people have fun with it at the same time. But it's appreciated that you guys take such a fine attention to detail on everything, because you know it does need to be right um,
Hmm.
before we do stuff. So
Well, it's such an intricately balanced game.
there's just so much, so many different pieces that there's always a little bit here, a little bit there that needs tweaking or changing or fixing. Um, so
Fine tuning.
I'm surprised it took so long for somebody to say something about gold. I had said it you know 7 months ago, and never really thought about the gold amount until I think Vimy and Ed brought it up, and I looked at it, and you know now we've got it right. So it
Hmm.
doesn't matter how much testing you do. There's always some little bit somewhere that needs tweaking. Yep. And Vimi's good at that kind of stuff. Sometimes he'll find stuff that we've had running for months and months, and he'll spot it. A lot of our players are really good at that kind of stuff, um, which is helpful. Without that, it'd be a lot harder. But it should be all good now. I think the raid times are good. The having to get the times right on the originally I was going to go for like a central database kind of time, so that it'd be easy to switch from one spot. But then the problem with that is that you have to question the database every time you run something, um, and I try to keep the database as minimal as possible, mostly because it spends most of its time processing trades and um, dungeon raids and the attacks. So I just didn't see the benefit of adding, an extra call into every single script to get the correct time. So, it's kind of like a floating variable on the different servers. So I only have to change it on one spot, but I have to change it on the one spot on each of the different processors and servers and stuff. So I'd still had the dungeon one at 2 behind GMT and not 3, so it was causing people a big bump when their resources came home, or their raids came home.
Oh, weird. Okay, cool.
Hmm.
Well, good that you found it. So I think then the only thing left to change with caverns is the amount of them.
As the what?
Is the amount of them on region map?
Yeah, there's going to be less. I think right now it's like set to a base of 5 or something within a 3x3 square. So I'll probably set that down to like 2, um, which is pretty
Yeah,
good.
just kind of eyeballing it there on the screen. It kind of looks like there's more or less double what there should be. So
So that'll change, and kind of make dungeons more competitive as well.
yes,
And I need to make something so that it, because dungeons don't need to be updated as frequently when the end game comes around, but in the initial um, game, it kind of needs to happen quickly so people can start raiding.
yeah,
So I need to figure out a way to make it so it doesn't run, every hour, all the time. Because every 3 hours is good enough for, a 2-month-old server. But it seems to be a bit too slow for, startup.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the balance.
Um, Other than that, I think we've got most things working. I fixed the rewards with the counselors, so that should be working well. We put in night protection, um,
After
or new
dark
player
penalty.
protection. So you can't see the image here because I didn't clear my cache out. Um,
Hmm.
but there is an image for new player protection, and it's also in regional view. If you click somebody's city, it'll tell you they're protected until, so you can
Oh,
see when
cool. Okay.
somebody's new player protection is up. Um, so
Here I'm grabbing a screenshot of a little icon It's right next to your title, and it'll look like this.
Yeah, it's a little white pea.
And you know what I need to do is, I hadn't thought about it, but right now it just stops you from setting attacks, whereas it should stop you from setting attacks that land before the time is up. So I need to change it so that um, if you are really dying to plunder your neighbor, you can set a scheduled attack to land, the 1 second after their protection is up. I think that's the way it should work, right?
I think so, yeah.
Or should you not be
Probably.
able to send attacks at somebody until their protection is up?
No, I think you can set in advance, just not for obviously before the time.
Yeah. Yes, you do lose the new player protection if you castle. Um, let's see. As you can see, I have new player protection, and I will castle. So I castled. And it's still there, but should not be. I had tested this before and it worked, so um, maybe it's going to wait for it to complete in 13 hours, 9 hours. 10 hours. Oh, I'll have to take another look at why it's not doing it. But it should. Yes.
There was something I think that was messed up with other games, is if you used the item that made it so that people couldn't attack you, that you couldn't time an attack on them for when that was up either. It wouldn't let you bring the attack box up at all.
I think
Grade the button out.
Yeah, you see that becomes the issue, is that if you're under new player protection, you shouldn't have to look and see that you have an incoming attack. So I don't know if you should be able to send an attack while somebody's under new player protection, or if you have to wait for them to actually come out before you can launch the attack at all. Maybe it's something we pull or something. But yeah, that should definitely have gone away. So I'll figure out why it didn't.
Oopsie.
It's a good thing somebody mentioned it and I saw it.
Glycel has a good question. In game, if Denari is spent in this little server that we have going right now, it will come back before open beta.
Yes, it will. I made a copy of everybody's amounts, so I'll restore whatever anybody spends, and anybody who's purchasing, those purchases will carry over, and the spends won't. So.
Right.
So use away. We want people to test the items too. So.
Yeah, Furby, that's what I was talking about. You had to wait until protection was lifted to send an attack in other games.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And thinking about it might be the better way to do it.
Yeah.
Because, somebody could send an attack at somebody under protection that's, 36 hours away, and, while they're in new player protection, still have that flashing, showing that they have an incoming attack. So it might have to be where you can't send it, so I guess I'll keep it that way. Yes, so if you purchase, the purchase gets carried over with the amount that you purchased. If you And then if you spend it after you've purchased it, you still just get that amount that you purchased. It doesn't take away when you buy items. Yeah, anything you buy. Um, Basically, anything that I made a copy of the database table before with all of your amounts, and it'll just completely be restored to what it was before you ever logged on the server, unless you bought something, and then it will be updated with that amount.
Now
Yeah, the server
the
never existed.
the things that
Yes.
you bought, those themselves, they won't carry over.
No.
So if you bought counselors, then no, you're not going to start with counselors plus a refund.
No.
So yeah, and you didn't need to buy the counselors for this test.
Nope. Um, I actually put it in there so that everybody got the free week's worth or so. So with the rewards, that would make it the entire test time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if people are testing stuff and there's no real competition, I don't see making them pay for stuff as well. Especially when there might be a issue with an item that we wouldn't find if people were too afraid to use them.
Right, right.
Any more questions about what's coming, what to expect, uh, how we're going to do something? Um, Another Vimy suggestion is we did change it now so that the 16th is based on sorted by not only the distance but the x and y as well. So coordinates. So for anybody looking to plan, it's most likely going to end up being the top um, left one that's of split difference.
So to give a bit of background on this, Vim was wondering. So if there's at a shrine, if there's 16 castles around a shrine, and 15 of them are, say, under 5 squares, and then at the 5 square point there's a couple of castles that are all equal distance away. Vim was wondering which one it was that was going to be in the running for getting enlightenment or blessing. So it's basically how we would work out which of the castles at the 5 point distance would get the enlightenment, or would get the chance for the enlightenment. Did I explain that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know
Just for people who aren't. Yeah.
What is the shrine EL?
Huh?
I'm talking to Furbius' question.
Like a halo to show the eligible ring
Oh,
on region.
I might leave that up to somebody to make as a script. Um, but I mean, yeah, I don't know if that would be that hard, but uh, definitely something I bet somebody already has made. Because I can tell you one person who's playing the game who made a excellent distance script for shrines and temples.
Dragon Hunter, if you spend an Ari on this little server that's open right now, you're going to get it all back before open beta. If you buy any during this and spend it, you will still get that back too. So you're not going to lose anything at all if you spend on this server. It's all going to come back.
Anything you buy sticks. Anything you spend gets reverted. How's that?
Right. Except for items and counselors. Those won't carry over.
No, but the funds spent on them will.
Right.
No, you cannot pay me in lottery tickets. Although
Ed asks, are you going to make it so shrines mature independently of each other?
they do. We put that in. So that will be for this server as well. So shrines now mature independently, and the times in between the blessings um, changes as it goes on, and it's not like a base number. The time goes down dynamically. So it just continuously gets shorter and shorter after a certain period of time. I think what was it, the first 30 days or something, it stays the same time, and then it starts just dynamically going down.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You grabbed a picture of what everybody had for Denari before you opened this, right?
Yes.
So it's not going to get messed up.
Nope.
Not a chance.
I actually have two. So uh, it's all um, safe and secure, and there won't be any issues. Yeah, it's not even a fact of refunding. I don't have to actually refund. I just have to, swap the tables out.
We've done this a good few times before for various other closed betas.
Yeah, there's a
So-
whole rhythm to it. We got it all down.
Yes, I have done this many times. I can actually still look at the play balances from 5 months ago.
Not a lot of questions, guys. You got any more?
I think we covered most of everything.
I think so too.
I think we've got almost everything, kind of in the game as well.
Furby wants to know if you can convert late game gold into Denari.
Yes, actually, we are going to add that feature. It will be 2 billion gold for 1 Denari. Oh, that's the last one is we need to do is we need to redo the alliance forms. So might be something I get to this week. I was also, I just for some reason I had this idea pop in my head about having the alliance forms independent, but I'm not quite sure if I want to do that or not. But I think that would be
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
cool.
not sold on that. I don't know.
I mean, it would be kind of cool to be able to float with your forms from place to place. Server to
Yeah.
server.
That would be really, really nice for leadership so that you don't have to completely fill out whole new forms every new server.
Yeah, and just kind of give them moderation and administration for that particular forum to the alliance leaders, based on permissions. And then they can clean up stuff in between servers and move it into folders and look at things from before. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I'm
if
not sold on it.
it's outside of the game, how much are people going to pay attention to?
Yeah.
That's the clincher.
But no, I can definitely get those fixed up and worked on. I haven't spent much time on them. We need to get the HTML in there as well.
Yes, we do. I think that's probably the most important thing. I think that's annoying people the most.
Just like the mails and and it's funny, we put those in and I haven't seen anybody like really take advantage of it. Like
Yeah, I think most people had written their alliance descriptions and things at the start of beta 3, obviously, and kind of weren't really bothered changing them again. So
Yeah.
I guess this time around we'll see a little bit more
fanciness.
creativeness. Yeah.
Other than that, alliance forums, fixing this damn player protection, which is now bothering me. I swear I fixed that. it looks like the labels actually worked really well this time after I fixed them. Um, so I haven't seen
Yeah, actually, that's true.
I haven't
No black
seen
labels.
any of the new people without labels. So it looks like my label system got fixed on the last go, and seems to work really well. Um, for anybody who didn't play, what was it, the second beta, or was it the first? When we had so many cities that it was, it's one thing to render pictures, which is easy. It's the text that's really difficult to render. Um, for
Yeah.
some reason, uh, the HTML5 canvas does not like um, rendering text. So it took us a while to figure out a good way to create labels for players while also uh, not creating a large amount of lag by having thousands and thousands of little text strings all over the place. So I kind of came up with a system where it creates an image of that player's label, um, and then it's thrown into a spreadsheet so that when um, you know you come across that person's city, that's actually an image and not a text. So it kind of links it to the city, um, and it seems to work great. I mean, we didn't have any regional map lag with a full server, and all the labels went through just as well. Yeah, it's 8
So,
hours at 40%, and then the hour before and after is 30%. I have to look.
it starts at 10 p.m. server time and goes to 10 a.m. server time, right?
Let me look so I can make sure that.
Yeah, so it's 8 hours. It's from 10 p.m. till 10 a.m., but from 8 p.m., that's when it kind of starts to rack up from 0% up to by 10 p.m., 40%.
Right. What?
So at 10 p.m., it's 40%, but 8 p.m. is when it starts to rack up to 40%. So it starts at 0 and goes up 1% every 3 minutes, I think.
I will
So does it go to from 8 to 8 or?
I'll give you guys actual numbers in a
Um,
second.
yeah. It's written in the page that I put in the chat there anyway. So,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, no, it's not
Okay.
8 to 8. It's
Um,
midnight to 8.
so
I was out by 2 hours.
between um, midnight and 8, it's 40%. Uh, between 22 and 23, it's 25. Between 23 and midnight, it's 30. Between 8 and 9, it's 30. And between 9 and 10, it's 25. And other than that, it's 0.
25. So where does 40% come from then?
40% is the 0 to 8. The midnight to 8.
Yeah, but if it's racking up gradually over the 2 hours, then how can it go from midnight at 25% to midnight at 40%?
30% at midnight. So from
So,
so from 11. Okay,
but it should,
let me do it.
but it should be 40%.
No, it shouldn't. It should be at
What?
10 to 11. It's 25%. At 11 to 12, it's 30%. At 12 to 8, it's 40%.
Then 8 to 9 is 30%, and
9 to
9 to
10,
10 is 25%.
In that case, the information that we have on the penalties page is wrong, which isn't good. Well, we'll look at that.
Attack penalties.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is wrong.
Yeah, we can fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Always my fault. Always.
Damn it, 80. With no matter what, we can't take you anywhere.
I know, right? I'm horrible. Yeah, definitely good to find the little problems like this before we go live.
Oh, I think it was right, just the documentation was wrong. Which is my fault because I did look at it and didn't say anything. So, easy enough to fix.
I thought it was my fault.
I was taking, I was taking the blame for you, 80, so that people didn't get mad at you.
Big brother Gordy.
So,
Oh, look at that. It's 5 o'clock.
it is 5 o'clock. We got any more questions?
Everybody.
So who's your favorite player?
Everybody. If you're playing it, you are our favorite.
That's true.
You're your own favorite player, Gordy?
I don't even play. I just kind of mess around. Most of my cities are just disasters. With like 90 cottages or whatever building I happen to select when I spam them down so that I can test something.
Train wreck.
This is actually my first somewhat decent city. And I still don't have any of the... I just castled without even having, any troops.
I have 5 vanquishers. I have all the tutorial buildings.
There, now I have troops. I can plunder.
No, here we go. Are you gonna plunder me?
Plunder land. Oh, it didn't let me. I'm not under new player protection. I've got a castle, damn it.
No, but he is.
Oh.
Do you want me to make a castle so you can attack something?
No, that's okay. Alright. Yes, the sea boss inside my city is one of the things I saw earlier, and I need to fix that. For some reason it still got in there. I sure tried to. It wouldn't let me. It did make the little icon though.
Well, you know it works.
At least one part. So, thank you guys for tuning in. We will be here next week to answer more questions. It'll be the last one before the open beta, and I believe it's going to be the last the last stream that we're actually going to do. Once the live rounds start, we're going to kind of stop doing the streams, as we did these mostly to talk about new features and things that we were implementing. And as most of the new features are in, kind of the necessity for it is kind of gone away. So I think last one will be our last stream. And it will be the last, kind of interaction before we actually open up the live beta, which should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, just
I'm excited.
yeah.
So thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you guys learned something. Uh, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks,
Or
everyone.
in the test server if you haven't logged in.
Yeah.
Yes, see you guys next week for the last live stream, and we'll see you in the game in the meantime.